Brought to you by the Astro Youth House chapter from STEM Arts Lab, Space on Earth is a student-led podcast that inspires listeners who are curious about space to explore the wonders of the universe through the voices of young thinkers, creators, and dreamers.
Each episode blends personal curiosity with scientific discovery, from the mysterious depths of black holes to the practical impacts of space on Earth, like GPS, climate science, and medicine.
Hosted by STEM Arts students from Taos, New Mexico, this podcast draws connections between space, art, and science, how these things all impact us here on Earth, and their meaning to humanity.
You'll hear raw, insightful conversations about topics like light pollution, the overview effect, lunar exploration, and the societal impact of the space race.
Whether you're into exoplanets, dark energy, or just stargazing from your backyard, Space on Earth makes space personal, accessible, and inspiring. We believe that space isn't just for astronauts and scientists, it's for everyone.
Join us on this adventure as we explore the cosmos from Earth, one story at a time.
Special thanks to the Lore Foundation for helping launch this podcast.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Space on Earth. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Wyatt.
And today we're going to be talking to you guys about a pretty important topic, not only to us, but to the entire space community.
On August 7th, Captain James A. Jim Lovell Jr., best known as the commander of Apollo 13, sadly passed away at the age of 97. Lovell went to space 4 times and spent over 30 days in space.
He was born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1928. And Lovett's fascination with space and rocketry really began in high school. And as that passion was building, he started developing his own model rockets and really getting a feel for the engineering and the science that went behind it. After high school, he graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1952, and he became an aviator and test pilot for the Navy. In 1962, 10 years later, he was selected for NASA's second group of astronauts. So he was working with Neil Armstrong, Frank Borman, John Young, and a lot of other very important people who would shape the space age.
Jim Lovell's first mission was Gemini 7. Jim Lovell was the co-pilot, with Frank Borman being the command pilot. They launched on December 4th, 1965, and spent 13 days, 18 hours, and 35 minutes in space. They orbited Earth 206 times. The objective of Gemini 7 was to prove humans could survive in space for the duration of a lunar mission and to conduct the first crewed spacecraft rendezvous in history. On December 15th, 1965, Gemini 6A, piloted by Wally Schirra and Tom Stafford, launched and performed a precision rendezvous with Gemini 7, coming within a foot of their craft. This was a vital step toward docking in the Apollo program, which would be needed to dock the lunar module back to the command module after the lunar EVA is concluded. Taylor, would you like to talk about Gemini 12, which was Jim Lovell's second mission space?
Yeah, totally. So, we kind of went over his first mission, which was really significant. And then in 1966, on November 11th, he launched Gemini 12. And so that was when you had Jim Lovell as the command pilot for that trip, and Buzz Aldrin was co-pilot. This trip lasted for 3 days, 22 hours, and 34 minutes, and had 59 total orbits. The main objective of this mission, so this was the last Gemini mission that NASA did, and it was really to perfect EVA, so spacewalking, and to conduct docking with an Agena target vehicle. Previously, before this, spacewalking had been a huge struggle for pretty much any astronaut that was attempting it. It was difficult to, do it for a long enough time to actually get something done because astronauts became very quickly exhausted. And Buzz Aldrin was a big part of the spacewalking and trained a lot of underwater training and performed a lot of that EVA. And so that was a big step in getting closer to having successful missions in the future. Jim Lovell was mostly working on the docking aspect of the mission. And he did a really great job with it and was able to handle those docking operations with the target vehicle and was working and testing all these rendezvous procedures that were really important for the Apollo mission. So the main outcome of Gemini 12 was that it proved spacewalking could be efficient and safe, which was really important for the Apollo lunar AVAs.
Jim Lovell's third mission was Apollo 8. Now, Apollo 8 is, or was, a really significant mission because this was the first time that humans would orbit the moon. Apollo 8 launched on December 21st, 1968, with Frank Borman, who was on the same mission, Gemini 7, with Jim Lovell as the commander, Jim Lovell as the command module pilot, and Bill Anders, the lunar module pilot. The duration of Apollo 8 was 6 days, 3 hours, and 42 minutes, and they orbited 10 times around the moon. This was the first fully integrated crew launch of the Saturn V, marking the rocket's first crewed flight. Lovell served as the navigator, performing precise mid-course corrections using sightings of stars in the lunar horizon. He was one of the first humans to witness the Earthrise, a photograph taken by Anders that became an environmental icon. I actually have a Lego model of the photo in my room. It's really cool. After the Apollo 1 fire, which took the lives of Virgil Gus Grissom, Edward H. White, and Roger B. Chaffee. Apollo 8's success restored confidence in NASA and proves that humans could safely go all the way to the moon, orbit it, and return to Earth. Lastly, Apollo 13, launched on April 11th, 1970, was Jim Lovell's last mission into space. Lovell served as the commander, Jack Swigert, the command module pilot, and Fred Hayes, the lunar module pilot. They spent 5 days, 22 hours, and 54 minutes in space. Apollo 13 would have been the third human landing on the moon. The objective was to land in the Fra Mauro Highlands to study the moon's geological history. Now, I'm sure most of you know that Apollo 13 didn't actually land on the moon. 55 hours after launch, an oxygen tank in the service module exploded, knocking out 2 of the 3 fuel cells and rapidly depleting oxygen. Lovell and the rest of the crew had to abort the lunar landing and focus on surviving the return to Earth. So they had to shut down the command module, and they had to move into the lunar module named Aquarius, which was designed for only 2 men for 2 days, now sheltering 3 for nearly 4 days. Lovell coordinated with Mission Control to manage life support, ration water, and keep morale steady. With the guidance computer actually offline, Lovell had to perform all the burns to get back to Earth manually, using visual cues from the Earth and the sun, which is, I could not do that with that kind of pressure. I can't do it. It's crazy stuff that Jim Lovell and the 2 other astronauts had to do. Yeah. After a few more days, Apollo 13 returned to Earth on April 17th, 1970.
And after that mission, which was really important for NASA and for Jim's career, Lovell retired from the Navy and NASA in 1973. And he entered the private sector, but he remained a public advocate for space exploration. He co-authored Lost Moon, which was then adapted into the 1995 film Apollo 13, in which he's portrayed by Tom Hanks. Lovell was awarded the Congressional Space Medal of Honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the NASA Distinguished Service Medal. And to this day, he's really an enduring example of how preparation, teamwork, and calm thinking can turn disaster into survival. In conclusion, his 4 missions span the very heart of NASA's space race, which was a really significant time not only for space exploration, but for American history as a whole. And even when he was working on really small missions like Gemini 7 to pioneering lunar orbit and piloting major missions like Apollo 8, he was fighting for survival on Apollo 13. His career was just a really incredible symbol of resilience and what it takes to be an inspiring leader. And he taught us, especially in this very pivotal time for space exploration, that you can't have these amazing groundbreaking achievements without a bit of risk. And when you have the courage and ingenuity and teamwork that he had, that he brought to NASA and to this country every day that he was working, that you can get through these dark moments and you can get through that challenge and that risk to get to the amazing feats that we've accomplished today. And so that's kind of what we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening. This is a really special episode to those of us here at Space on Earth, and we hope that you guys connected with it as well. As always, if you have any suggestions or questions for future episodes, reach out to us, send us an email, contact our social media. We love hearing from you guys, and your topic will be mentioned in a later episode. I'm Taylor,
And I'm Wyatt.
and we'll see you guys next time.